So I was trying to think about what to start with today, and what I want to talk about, something very specific and very technical about owning a business or owning a construction company, or maybe take a little bit of a broader approach. And I thought maybe I would start with explaining some of the taglines that we use in our business, because in some ways they're kind of like our mission, vision, and values. These are things that you would find on our website. You'd find them on the wall of our office. And so I'm going to just jump in. One of the things that's on our website is that we use the expression people building trust. And obviously it's a play on the fact that we're builders, but it says the most important thing that we build is trust. And I really believe that. And it's the approach that we've taken with our company. Unlike a lot of companies, we always say, like, just give us a direct opportunity to prove that we're good, and hopefully we'll earn that next opportunity. It's a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and we're trying to build client relationships over the course of time. And it's hard for a corporation or one of our customers to trust us with a big opportunity right out of the chute, right? It's pretty uncommon unless you're a big established company that's got a website full of 100 pictures of the same kind of a job, or a really nice brochure that you drop off, or an RFP packet. So, as you grow your business, that's the uphill battle you fight. And I was just leaving my office and I drove by a construction site that's happening right out in front of our business. And that general contractor, it says established 1838. So that company is almost 200 years old. We started, and now I feel like we've been in business for a while, in 2010 with my first company. So 16 years versus almost 200 years to earn the trust of one of your clients. So when it came to sort of trying to explain how critical trust is to our business, I wanted to come up with an analogy that was relatable to our workers. And so a lot of our construction workers are blue collar guys. They like to work on cars or motorcycles, that sort of a thing on the weekend. So what I described our business as, and the trust that we've built with our company, it's like, using a real life example. Imagine if me, Brian, I had a classic car, and I really don't know how to work on cars, or I'm lucky to even know how to change the oil, but imagine I had a classic car, a 69 Mustang. I don't even know what's a really cool old car. That's kind of not my thing, but those guys who own old cars invest a lot of blood, sweat, tears, energy, money, I'm sure, to get that car where it needs to be. And it's like a never-ending process. You're always trying to work to make that car better. And what I say is, imagine I had one of those. Imagine I had a really nice car, or a really nice motorcycle, or something like that everybody knew that was my baby, right? That was Brian's favorite thing. That's the thing he put a ton of energy in. And what if one weekend I went to one of our employees and I said, hey, you've been doing a great job. Here you go, kid. You got the Mustang for the weekend, or you've got the Harley for the weekend, or I gave you that keys. I would expect that the person who had the keys to the thing that everybody knew was my baby was going to treat it with the utmost respect. They were going to make it clean. They weren't going to do anything stupid with it. They weren't going to scratch it. They would be nervous, and I would be equally nervous knowing that they were driving that thing that I put so much time and energy in it. In some ways, it's kind of like the first time you let one of your kids take out one of the family cars, or, like maybe you let your kid take the nice car to homecoming or whatever. But anyway, now, if something bad happened, it doesn't take much, right? The driver's driving, they get distracted. This is probably a bad example. I'm going to get some sarcastic comments about the fact I'm driving. I'm not looking at the phone, so don't worry. Anyway, but it doesn't take much. Years and years and years of time, energy, money, love, pain invested in making that car nice, and 1 second and that thing gets ruined, right? And it's just wrecked. So all that investment right out the window, or severe damage, and it would take a really, maybe even longer to get it back to where it was. That's kind of how our relationships are with our business. And what I say to our workers is, now just imagine, instead of a classic car that's worth $30,000, you've got the keys to this multi-million-dollar machine that I've invested a ton of time in. Some of the people that have been with me from almost the beginning have invested time, energy, hard meetings, getting yelled at by clients, middle of the night phone calls, all that stuff to build up this amazing thing. And if somebody doesn't care as much, if somebody says the wrong thing, if somebody makes a mistake and doesn't tell people and doesn't communicate properly, what's taken us 16 years to build, maybe a specific client relationship that maybe it accounts for 1/3 of our revenue, that could go right out the window really, really fast, and not only hurt me, but also hurt the coworkers that maybe count on the fact that we do work at the corporate office and we also do work at their retail sites, and a guy says something silly out at a retail site, and next thing you know, we lose the whole client relationship. And that guy who's been working at the corporate campus for the last 20 years, sometimes even before they worked for us, loses his job. So we're all in this together. That trust is really, really hard to build. And when I'm hiring people, it's really important to find people that value that appreciate that, and understand that we've got to all work together. And when you're a general contractor, that trust even goes into the hands of your subcontractors, and not just your subcontractor as a company. They might have a summer apprentice on a job site, and it's his first ever day on a construction site, and maybe he does something silly, something unsafe, says something wrong, whatever that is. We had a summer apprentice riding around in the bucket of a piece of equipment on one of our job sites, and and it caused all kinds of damage. And that's how fragile this whole thing is. And I'm sure it's not just in the construction business, but when we say the most important thing that we build is trust, I really believe in that. And I think with all of your businesses, that's something that you've got to think about. And the people that work for you are the stewards of that trust. So as an owner, you've really got to understand and communicate to your team, or as the president or CEO, or even as a project manager or superintendent, to the people that are working downstream of you. Understand that it takes a long time to build trust. It could take seconds to ruin trust. And the only other thing I'll say, from a client perspective, I hope that we build partnerships with our clients, and they understand that, mistakes do happen, and the good clients will understand that we care enough to, as one of our guys in the office says, we'll make right. We're going to make it right, and we may make a mistake, but you have our word that if we do something wrong, we're going to make it right. So trust is, in a sense, it can be easily broken, but there's also value there in working with clients that understand that a company that values their respect and is trying to do all the right things. You want to work with partners on the other side that appreciate that. So that's what I was going to talk about today. Building trust is the most important thing that we build at Nacional Group. Have a good day.